Entrepreneurship is an undying force, a spirit that fuels the passion of every individual who has a dream to grow. As the economy has regained its momentum, every Indian has a renewed aspiration for their future, be it SMEs, startups, or every enterprising Indian. And over the past 8 years, Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest and most comprehensive daily platform, has championed the cause of this sector, successfully enabling the backbone of the country's economy to help nurture these dreams into reality and recognize the true leaders. As the statistics show, in the financial year 2020, the total number of MSMEs in the country was more than 63 million. Over 110 million people were employed in micro, small and medium enterprises in FY20. This means that even in the adverse conditions, SMEs have been the strong pillar to hold India's economy up. And we have been the pension enabler for the sector to rise high. And hereafter, the journey unfolds to a new paradigm.
Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. It's my privilege to announce the official launch of the 9th edition of Leaders of Tomorrow right here on ET Now. Now, every day over the past 8 years, we have recognized, championed, rewarded and recognized the effort of small businesses all over the country. And before we talk to you about what we have lined up on season 9, I want to take a quick minute to do a deep dive into everything that has gone into our DNA over the past 8 years. Take a look. Since inception, we have brought together an array of thought leaders, mentors, investors, policymakers, global experts and entrepreneurs to empower India's vast SME and MSME base. Showcasing over 1,700 episodes featuring the country's biggest newsmakers, bringing you insights from more than 5,000 experts and big voices, and presenting more than 270,000 interactive sessions with small businesses and startups covering the length and breadth of the country through our pan-India roadshows. In Season 8, Leaders of Tomorrow built on its pedigree of being the country's only daily series focused on empowering small businesses and startups with the theme Small to Scalable.
It is very competitive and more people are going to do the same, and therefore you have to be able to rise up to it. You have to be resilient because you need to have the courage to take both success and failure in your stride.
I do believe that entrepreneurs who actually pick on new and different ideas to build on, I think have a good edge over others. I think, if you believe in what you're doing, if you're passionate about that idea that you're trying to build and take to the market, I think those are some of the essential catalysts of endurance. Okay. Because I think to endure, you must believe in what you're doing.
The biggest area of investment and focus has to be, driving the whole skilling initiative in order to make sure that the Indian talent and the demographic dividend that we have is actually properly used in order to make India great.
We also introduced the country's first leadership council featuring some of India Inc.'s most eminent opinion makers, all to help entrepreneurs withstand the darkest of days and the most ferocious of storms. The one thing that remained constant in our DNA were the pan-India roadshows, where we met with entrepreneurs across the various cities and took cognizance of issues they were facing. As the country grappled with the pandemic, we focused our programming on issues most pertinent to MSMEs through our e-forums, a virtual series featuring the country's most notable voices, including from government and India Inc., guiding small businesses to find their way.
we have actually delivered this morning, first in India, to a loan of 2002 crores, which is part of the package which the Nirmala Sitharaman has announced.
We have announced a 20,000 crore package, of which about 10,000 or 12,000 crores is direct transfer. Now, this is not a new transfer that is taking place. All the people, there are 55 lakh people who are to get entitled to get welfare pension of 1,300 rupees per month. We have been increasing it 100 rupees every year. Then importantly now we have formed a Kerala Bank. Amalgamating all our district banks, and this is going to be our price catch.
We concluded the 8th edition of Leaders of Tomorrow with a grand awards ceremony. Our esteemed jury screened over 100 entries and shortlisted the finest from the lot. Felicitating and honoring the effort of entrepreneurs has always been our dharma.
I am really appreciating the initiative of ET, encouraging the MSME who are doing excellent jobs, upgradation of technology, having good turnover. At the same time, they are now will be capable to make more export for the country. Presently, the whole world and our country is facing this COVID-19. I am confident that we will win this war against COVID-19. At the same time, we will win economic war and fulfill the dream of Prime Minister Modi ji to make India 5 trillion economy and 100 lakh crore infrastructure.
Leaders of Tomorrow provides a lot of these entrepreneurs to showcase the kind of work they are doing in terms of the nation building part is concerned, and more importantly trying to solve some unique problem statements which a large related industry can't do.
Platforms like Leaders of Tomorrow are very important because entrepreneurs want to see that the work that are being done is being noted and rewarded, right? So that gives them the kind of enthusiasm they need to keep persevering, because entrepreneurship is a lot about not giving up.
Human being at every stage of life looks for recognition, and awards by media houses, by foundations, and just the platform like Leaders for Tomorrow, and just the boost in morale that they get by getting the recognition, by looking at it for funding or looking at it for customer acceptance, I think it goes a very long way.
We're going to take a quick break on that note. On the other side, we'll continue talking about how Leaders of Tomorrow is enabling you, the entrepreneur. Back in just a moment. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Before we took a break, we spoke about what we've been doing here over the past 8 years of the show. Here is a sneak peek at what we have lined up for you on the 9th edition. As the economy has started regaining its momentum, every Indian has a renewed ambition for the future, and we at Leaders of Tomorrow this season are enabling that with our overarching theme, Empowering a Billion Dreams. Be it SMEs, MSMEs or enterprising individuals, we will help them to dream big and achieve much more. This year, Leaders of Tomorrow will be a torchbearer for entrepreneurs, students and other aspiring Indians, guiding them on business, personal finance and much more.
There is a national will forward focused on Atmanirbhar Bharat, and there is a craze to give up these products of foreign origin and have our own indigenous products. So all this craze, entrepreneurship, strong willpower will enable the nation to march ahead with a greater speed, and I am sure that India will be the manufacturing hub of the whole world very soon.
The series of reforms that we have launched are especially intended to enable the small and medium enterprises to grow bigger. The changes that we've brought in the medium to long run presents enormous opportunities to make the billion dreams come true.
Working together, the government and the private sector, on the basis of trust and on the basis of generating a growth momentum, I think we can take India forward.
Capital has been made cheap. The government has tried it. We really have tried our very best to provide you with support wherever we can. If there are major reforms that are needed, we are in the mood to do more. So please raise what are sort of major structural changes that can be done. And of course, please reach out to the state governments. There are state governments that are very, very proactive and are looking at making business easier.
So you'd see any pandemic in the world, any pandemic, the world has come out much better than what it entered into. And there has been a reflection trade or a bull market after the pandemic is over. This has been the history for last 100 years. So you have to be very optimistic, build a fantastic team which is passionate and dedicated, and choose the right business.
So I think by March you should see business coming back to normal. And therefore I believe that you will start seeing a good growth momentum picking up in FY22.
If you are an entrepreneur, ensure that you have the vision for the future and also execute that plan on a diligent basis. Vision plus execution gives an edge to entrepreneurs.
The whole recovery is a K-shaped recovery where some sectors are doing well. So you see that those sectors, you have the upper side of K. And then there are certain sectors like hospitality, airlines, hotels, restaurants not doing well. So they're in the bottom of K.
All entrepreneurs, small or large, should have a focus area on making sure they're adequately capitalized, they have enough equity for the uncertainty, for the rainy day. Don't have too much debt on your books. Be very careful on that. And the two other things I would say is there is a lot of uncertainty, so always have a plan B. All entrepreneurs have to work with plan B. So when you are trying to scale up business or make investments, you are taking risk. But having a plan B takes part of the risk.
India is become a part of the global world as far as software is concerned. You'll find the software industry growing pretty fast. You've seen the margins go up, the growth go up. So I think the next 5 years are going to be the most exciting period in India's long history, because we are ready. The growth is going to come. Interest rates have come down. Cost of capital has come down. Tax rates have come down, which is incredible. And that's going to drive a massive investment surge. And when the investment surge comes along with consumption, we're going to rock.
To ensure that your voice finds a national platform, we will travel across the country, connecting you with experts who have their finger on the pulse of what makes entrepreneurs tick, including connecting you with and bringing you advice from one of India's most well-known bankers.
But sir, I want to ask you about the overall state of economy at this point, because we have seen a huge dip and then we have seen recovery. We have seen that happening in even the high frequency numbers in terms of indicators. At this point, how assured are you about a solid recovery being in place?
Well, I think definitely all of us are feeling a lot more assured. We can see the indicators by talking to entrepreneurs and talking to businesses. Everybody talks about business coming back between 60-70%, and some businesses have actually gone past 80-90%. And of course, there are some new sectors that actually gone past 100%. But let me say, most sectors are between 60 to 80%. I think recovery is definitely strong and back.
Now, if we were to take a sectoral view, and obviously there were some sectors who were dependent heavily on the traditional way of functioning, probably the small manufacturing units and textile and things like that, they have suffered, I would say, the biggest blow in terms of COVID impact. And then at the same time, there are other sectors, especially ones who are dependent on digital ecosystem, who have done exceptionally well. So how do you look at this change going forward? I mean, the behavior of a small and medium enterprise, how is it going to change going forward?
See, basically, we all know that sectors which are very touch focused, like, airlines, hotels, tourism, say gems and jewelry, obviously they have got badly affected. They've still not recovered, let me say, anywhere close to the pre-COVID times. We know that, and the whole chain of people who are supplying to those entities, whether to an airline, to a hotel, the whole supply chain, obviously everything's got affected. It'll come back when it come back, maybe with a lag. But the sectors which are, there are many sectors which are also coming back much stronger, and particularly which had a very which could quickly ride on to the digital journey.
So at least we can confidently say that we are firmly out of the woods, or the worst is behind us from economic indicator point of view. Can we say that comfortably?
Definitely, we can say that. I think it's also, we can say beyond that. I think we've had one learning from the whole COVID, that next time if there's a crisis of this magnitude, at least we will not, and we should not, and the world should not panic as much as it did for COVID.
You know, we have been talking about entrepreneurship on Leaders of Tomorrow for many years, but this is obviously a unique year. If you were to kind of, share your vision or share your message, I would say, to our viewers or everybody who's watching this show and trying to do something on his own or trying to get inspired, what would be your key message to that person right now who's watching this show?
See, there are two things. One is people, and let me say, one of the themes of your own program is empowering 1 billion dreams. I assume that, the new startup ecosystem is going to be a big part of that storyline. Now, one of the things to note is that there are many sectors. We talked about sectors that are affected. Many sectors are actually coming back. If you take of agri-tech, there are now people which are traditionally for 100, 500 years, maybe never reformed or didn't reform substantially. Suddenly there are maybe 400, 500 agri-tech companies. There are so many education tech companies. India has maybe 1,000 universities and 300 million students in schools, and suddenly people are creating platforms to make that happen. Maybe the video technology industry is a new industry, the one which we're right now conversing on, and Zoom and Teams and all that. Then, so let me just say that, like this, sector after sector is now finding new ways of growing. Payments industry is growing. That's our world. We're seeing it every day. Now UPI is like 2 billion transactions a month. It's like unbelievable, 200 crore transactions. So what I'm saying is that every sector is also seeing a very digital avatar of itself and growing. And therefore, anybody starting now should, of course, focus on a new sector which has an opportunity of multiplying from even post-COVID. In fact, specifically post-COVID.
So that's what we have lined up all of this week, all of this month, and all of this year for you on Leaders of Tomorrow, the biggest newsmakers, opinion makers, entrepreneurs, and financial experts coming together night after night at 10:30 p.m. only on ET Now. Do stay tuned.